seats, please.
When you go out and buy that thing, that nice dry weather, you should have thought about
Hey, I want to ask you something later. I want to ask you something later, if you're still here.
All right, we're going to call the Tuesday Board of County Commission meeting to order, July 25th, 2017. Invocation will be led by Terry Wright at Grace Fellowship. Pledge of Allegiance by Commissioner Pickens. If you all would rise, please.
Let's pray together. Well, Father, thank you for a beautiful morning in Putnam County. It is a pleasure and a privilege to live here. So, Lord, thank you for that honor. And now, Lord, we do pray for these men and women, those who will be making decisions in the boardroom, in the offices. Lord, the folks who work out on the road. Father, just pray that you bless them all and, Lord, keep them safe. Lord, give our leaders courage to change and wisdom to know how. Father, we believe great things for our county. It's poised and positioned perfectly for that. So, Father, now all we need is your direction. So please come and give it. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor Terry, and thank you, Commissioner Pickens. Commissioners, item number 2 on our agenda is the approval of July 11th meeting, July 3rd meeting, and the July 7th meeting.
I move to approve.
Have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard.
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. We do need to recess our meeting, but we have 8 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that, so.
Why don't we
Recess for 8 minutes.
I'm going to go on to item number 4.
Sure.
Real quick. Take a point of pleasure and invite Jim Torino with the Intergovernmental Coordinator, Government Affairs with St. Johns River Water Management. Mike Nimitz, Press Tompkins, and Sam Willis, would you please come up? Sam, I know you love to come up to the front. And they're going to explain a little bit about what's going on. And come on up, gentlemen.
Morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Mike, would you pull that light down a little bit over here? There you go. That's just the light. You don't need that. Yeah.
As you're aware, this is a design-build project. If you're not very familiar with that process, this is something that was utilized to meet the requirements of this grant. Typically, with this type of funding, there is a design is required before engaging the River Management District. However, our county has limited funding available, so we were able to implement a design-build approach, meet with the River Management District with a strong conceptual design, and move forward. This contract is for Phase 1 and is a force main that subsequent systems will tie into. The force main will run from the existing plant to Paradise Point. Multiple benefits include the contamination reduction from storms, nutrient reduction into our waterways, as well as utilities to residents that really need this upgrade to their systems.
Mike, can I add a few things?
Yes, sir.
This was a concept that came out, and we went out to Water Management, and Water Management looked over it. This board embraced this when you brought it to us, and this is a project that's going to clean up the river, as you said, and to help our residents down there. So we like hearing from you, but the guy in the suit behind you is really the guy that we want to hear from right now. So, Mr. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, staff, Jim Troiano from the St. Johns River Water Management District. And if I may, just a brief little history, too, of what got us to this point. You know, Mike Nimitz and staff, the direction from leadership really was, it made our staff, an easy job for our staff to choose this project. In 43 projects that we chose, $21.3 million was awarded throughout the 18 counties in our service area. And for Putnam County, $3.1 million total coming back into this community. 1.1 million for the city of Palatka for a great project, and then for a public-private partnership with Tater Farms in the city of Palatka. So it really is an honor for me to present this check to the county of Putnam for the investment in your future. This project will really not only help immediately with the Dunn's Creek, with the St. Johns River, but it'll also help the sewers and the septic tanks connect to the system later in life. So with this commitment that you've made, it's my honor, and representing our governing board, our executive director, Ann Shortell, and our staff, to present this check in the amount of $2 million to
We're all
Putnam
coming
County
together.
for a job well done. Congratulations to you all. Excellent job.
Everybody put their hands on it. Everybody get it. All right. Come on, y'all. Y'all come too.
Oh, y'all.
I'll stand over here and keep Chip under control.
Back in a little more, guys. I don't want to get the podium. There we go. Big smile. One more time. Oh, big difference. There you go, thank you.
That's your check to keep,
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
Mike, thank you.
Congratulations, man. Congratulations. And Mr. Chair, if I may, this is just part of our cooperation that we have with the county. You can keep it.
Yeah, I'll
And-
sign the back up.
We urge staff to continue putting great projects forward. We have our cost share projects that'll start again next year. So the maximum amount is $2 million. So we hope that the cities, the counties continue to put forward great projects for our staff to consider. And again, thank you for this opportunity to present this money to a great project
Thank
here
you.
in Putnam County.
Kim, thank you, and we will be back.
Yeah, we have a few more coming, so we do thank you very much for
Yeah.
that, and we appreciate it. Commissioners, we're going to recess for 2 minutes. To call the order of our solid waste collection and disposal district. If the mayor would come up, Mayor Larson, Mayor Hill, and I believe Mr. Banks is here representing the city of Crescent City. So if you'll find your name, where's your names at? Okay. Mayor, there you go. Yes, sir. Okay, good deal. Mayor, why are you sitting way over there? Why don't you come move your
I
tag?
need a men's deodorant.
No, come on over here. Join, bring your tag with you. There you go. Okay. This is a public hearing, and just to let you know, we are convening the Solid Waste Collection Disposal District. We'd like to welcome you and extend our welcome to Mr. Banks, Mr. Mayor Hill, and Mayor Larson for joining us today here at the table. This is about solid waste, and every year we sit down and go through how we can see if we can lower our rates and look at the assessment that we're going to be placing on the citizens of Putnam County and the benefit that they're going to receive. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the August 23rd, 2016. The chair will entertain a motion.
Move approval, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lible. We have a proper motion by Mr. Lible. Second by Mayor Hill. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. Let's go ahead. Mr. Gass, do you want to come up and present you and Ms. Papel, or do you just want it to be Mr. Gass' show? Come on up. Come on up. Tell us how we got here, what we're doing, and where we're going to go.
All right, for the rates that we're,
Microphone
Yeah.
plus is down this morning. Brandon, that thing's a little quiet this morning.
Yeah.
for the rates that we're going to be going through for this next year, most of you have the packet. For the unincorporated areas, the landfill will be at $182, the collection at $111, recycling at $39. Those are based on this year's rates. Our contract with the hauler for recycling and for garbage collection will have an adjustment, either up or down, in October, depending on what the consumer price index is at that time. But we're using our current numbers for the current prices. Unincorporated areas, which is Palatka and Crescent City, will be $182 for the landfill and $39 for recycling. And government-owned property user fees would be $182 and $39. Those are the fees for this year, which is for this coming year, I'm sorry, which is slightly up from last year. We did have a decrease in housing units that had an effect on the rate, and we did have to use a lot of the funds last year for the hurricane cleanup. We used over $1.25 million out of this year's budget for hurricane response for the county. We are attempting to get everything in order and keep it in order and try to not have increases as much as possible, but we are currently at the point that we had to have a minor increase. This is much better than it was, I believe it was 3 years ago, when we were up close to $400 a household on the assessment.
Good, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr.
I think
Blau.
that you've done a great job stabilizing this service. And two things, Hurricane Matthew, and we have a lawsuit with the Palatka Housing Authority. Can you speak to that just a little bit, or affecting this price overall?
Yes, the Palatka Housing Authority, when we had an increase, basically about 4 years ago, they decided they were not going to pay the increase. They paid what the old rate was, and we filed lawsuit against them. We prevailed. Stacy Manning could give more details on that. But we have not seen any increase in payment or any of the outstanding balance that is due to an appeal of the decision. So this may take a little bit longer. The Housing Authority feels that they don't have to pay for services being provided. Both the cost of landfill disposal for the Housing Authority has gone up since their old rate, and their recycling costs have gone up since they stopped giving an increase to us. I can't say what's right, what's wrong. I'm not a jurist. You know, I know that
I wasn't asking that. I
when
just
you
wanted to know.
when you provide a service, you expect to get full payment for the services that you provide. And currently, we are not having that happen.
Yeah, I know they appealed, and we were working our way through the courts at that time, Mr. Manning. Is that
That's right. The county prevailed on summary judgment on the issue, and the Palatka Housing Authority filed appeal. We currently have oral arguments scheduled in October. I believe it's the first or second week in October. Appellate process is a long process. But after oral arguments, hopefully then within probably a few months, we'll actually get an appellate decision. And certainly our hope is that that's the end of it then. But Mr. Gass did state it quite clearly. It is a matter of the county's position is that we're charging a fee to accept their solid waste at our facility, and that they ought to be paying the cost, to cover the cost of that. And what we are charging is no more than anybody else to utilize that service. And that's really what it comes down to. And I'm sure there would be an impact. You were asking about, whether that impacts the total assessment, and I'm going to tell you it certainly would. If we were getting what we were supposed to be getting for those households, that's going to affect your balance sheet, and it's going to affect what everybody else is paying, and it's just not fair.
Well, that's why I bring it up.
Right.
Coupled with the hurricane, we've got this slight uptick. But I think that we can equally say that we might have a downtick in the future. You've also prepared 15 acres, which will accomplish 3 cells in the future. So we're good to go for like 15 years, and that should come. If you could speak to that just a little bit, we should see some savings in that area too, because we, in essence, doubled down tripled down.
What
in the
what
last
we'll be
couple.
able to do when we build the new cell is expand our capacity, which right now, that is one of the limiting factors for us to attract other waste streams to come in and pay us for disposal. Most of the places that want to find a disposal site want some place that can guarantee them 5 to 10 years of disposal. If we double our intake right now, we don't even have a year and a half of disposal.
And the benzene levels that we were
They
challenged with?
are apparently dropping. There's been some testing that has been done that's showing that. Before we do have a new cell constructed, I had the engineering firm go in and punch a series of 16 wells to sample the water underneath the area that we had mined. We found 2 hot spots where the benzene apparently had been coming from. We're hoping that with it being exposed closer to the oxygen and that no more waste on top of it, that those levels will be dropping, and it will be a longer period of time before those lower levels get downhill from where they are, but it's pretty good.
We heard that from Dr. Townsend too at University of Florida, that says that once we open it, there would be a flush that would come, but that would settle down as time went on. So you're correct about that.
It should be all improved for the future. One of the other things that we need to,
Mayor Hill had a
Mayor Hill,
question.
I'm sorry.
What's the cost of these
Millions.
cells?
you're looking at right around $5.5 million for the new cell.
And and at this particular time, where do we stand as far as the resources available to build a cell?
With this budget coming up, we'll have about $3.5 million of that.
Okay. And my understanding is in the past, we've actually taken some resources out of the budget to kind of accommodate the goal of the district to reduce the unit.
Yes,
the per unit cost.
that has happened in the past. And that's something that I'm trying not to do. I like to be able to not have debt, because right now we're trying to get the money to build a new cell, and we're still paying on the previous cell. And those are areas that I wish not to get in that type of situation. We need to try to make sure that this fund is physically sound and capable of supporting itself. There are some other things that happened this year that were detrimental to the solid waste operation. Hurricane debris that was accepted to the landfill, which we waived the tipping fees so that all the people on privately owned property, roads, could get their stuff in for free. None of that airspace was reimbursed back to the county. FEMA does not reimburse the loss of our landfill airspace. If we would have just said no, you know, everybody pays, we would have a difference. Our actual tonnage for this last year dropped. We went from 61,000 tons approximately the year before to about 58,000 tons of total volume this year, of which a good number of that came in at no charge because of the hurricane. So our actual revenues for this year, our cash revenues, our gate tipping fees decreased. We had a lot of issues that kind of steamrolled into creating this increase that we have, you know, along with the need to construct a new cell. And that would give us quite a bit of life. The new cell will be here after I retire, and still be able to be used by the county and its citizens. And hopefully we will continue on this course and get things right. I do apologize for the increase. I cut everything that I could. I kicked the can down the road a little bit on some stuff. The big concern I do have is if we have another hurricane this year, I hope we get our FEMA money back before the hurricane happens, because that was not unbudgeted money that was spent this
right.
year. And when you just pull 1.25 million right off the top of your budget, it is kind of difficult to keep things going smoothly.
We have asked Congressman Yoho's office to step in and try to get that money back as quickly as possible, and they are looking at that right now.
Yes.
And Mayor Hill, do you have any more questions?
No, I guess my biggest concern is making sure, and I know one of the things that we talked about with the district over the last couple of years is putting ourselves in a position so that we can provide a reprieve to the citizens as a whole as it relates to the solid waste disposal fee. But the other concern on the flip side of that is that we also consciously set the rate at such a way that it funds itself. Because if we, you know, on one hand, if we're providing a discount as it relates to the fee, but on the other hand, it causes us to increase millage or anything else, then in essence, all we've done is just traded one for the other. And we need to consciously make sure that, you know, we look at the numbers, we look at the overall effect that it's gonna have, so we're not pulling reserves, we're not doing any of those other things, and we're putting the citizens in the light most favorable overall, which allows us to be healthy as a fund, and allows us to be able to provide really the best incentives to our citizens.
I agree.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, just to add to that, I think one thing that I'd like to point out, as you all remember, or should remember, last year, there was a recommendation to close the 2 convenience centers due to the cost. And a decision was made by the board not to do that. And that was an additional cost that the county actually had to bear to actually continue to operate those. I believe that, out of general fund?
No,
Not general
out of
fund?
general fund.
Okay. But
And-
that also had an impact.
And when the budget was originated last year, I had figured in that anybody bringing materials to the landfill or to the convenience centers would be paying for it. Then we went with the allotments that
Right.
were given, and that basically took a lot of the revenue that we had anticipated for the year out also. I will be asking probably in a workshop that we close the convenience centers on Sundays and Mondays, because right now, running 6 days a week, it's costing me overtime to cover those facilities. And by closing them on Sunday and Monday, then I could have just straight staff people working it, and that would help cut some of my costs.
Well, let me, you know, I've said this before. It's not convenient to take it to what you're calling convenience center. It's a collection center. If you ever took it to Interlaken and bump your head up against the iron bars, you understand it's not convenient. But it is a collection site. and I'd rather it go there than out in the woods. So I have a couple questions. Mr. Lible, did you get your questions
Yes,
answered?
I'm good.
Okay,
Thank
good. Recycling. You know, we often hear from our residents about they want to do more and more recycling. Kind of explain to us, the citizens that are watching and the ones that are in the audience, about the market and recycling, because everybody would love to recycle, but what do you do with it after that? And that's the question I'm going to pose to you.
I've had this discussion with several constituents this week, well, actually last week. They were wanting to know why, when they put styrofoam egg cartons in the recycle bin, it wasn't picked up. They wanted to know why plastic film wrap wasn't picked up, and I explained this is the items only that we accept for recycling. We have to have a market, a way to get rid of the material, somebody who will take it in order to recycle it, even if they take it for free, and don't provide any revenue for the product. If you don't have anyone who will take it, it's garbage.
Right.
If you have a volume enough, if you could say, I can provide you 2 tractor trailer loads of this stuff, then you may get a market. But we have such a small amount of recycling that it's tough to do. Right now, the recycling markets are in a turmoil. I think it's over 350 in California. Recycling centers have closed, which California is one of the leading recycling states in the country. And it's going to get worse. China has applied that they're going to the, I think it's the World, not the World Bank, but World Trade Association, that they are going to start limiting imports of recyclables even more than they did with their green fence. This is expected to take place within the next 8 months. If that happens, a good amount of steel recycling will disappear. A good amount of plastics will disappear. They're saying that probably the upper end plastics will not have a place to go. The 5, 6, 7, 8s on the plastic stamp, those items will be hard to find a home. Recycling right now in the world is at a crossroads to where if things do not step up internally in the country, more markets and more recycling in product uses start occurring in this country, the foreign countries that have typically been the huge consumers of these products are starting to cut back. And as that cut back, that creates a excess from the origin point, and with an excess at the origin point, that drives prices down even lower. So it's almost like a death spiral that recycling could end up in the near future.
Good. One thing we learned during our budget talks that we used some of our reserve last year to artificially lower this rate down. This year, we're not going to use any of our reserves at the landfill based on this current $7 a year increase. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, good. All right, commissioners and committee members, any other questions? Starting to my left, Commissioner Larson.
Yeah, one thing, on the convenience centers, they were restricted in what could go in those, i.e. construction debris and things of that nature. Has that changed now?
Construction debris can still go in there. It's charged for by the
Okay.
cubic yard. Anything that we accept can go in there. There's actually commercial entities out of Crescent City that dispose of their tires at the individual tire cost. I was talking to one of the gentlemen who was hauling for one of the tire companies in Crescent City, and I just gave him a nice piece of advice. He had about 38 tires on his truck and trailer, that if you're hauling more than if you're hauling 25 tires or more, you have to be a licensed tire person by the state of Florida. And he said, oh my God, I didn't know that. He said, I don't want any issues with DOT. He thanked me and said, but the commercial entities do use it and they pay. And citizens, if they don't want to bring C&D material to the central landfill for their weighed allotment, they can drop it off at the convenience centers for a fee.
Okay, that's perfect, thank you.
I got a question.
Mr. Banks?
On the convenience centers, have you subtracted from your budget how much it's gonna save to close them down? Because a lot of people work through the week and they don't get in early enough to dump it, and they're kidding, dump it in the woods.
Yes, it was.
That's another problem.
The convenience centers, the actual cost, not counting landfill space, anything else, just the people and the equipment to man the convenience centers is over $350,000 a year.
But you don't think that it'll be more effective if you leave them open versus the people dumping it in the woods? That's gonna be a problem one day.
I agree with that philosophy. The thing is, the people that are using the convenience centers, everything that the convenience center accepts free of charge is something that you can place curbside and Waste Pro will pick up, or the city's contractor or the city collection crews will pick up and bring to the landfill. Anything that is not in the list, in the ordinance, we charge for at the convenience centers. That's the thing. A lot of people just were in the habit of bringing stuff when those convenience centers were landfills, of bringing them there. And they don't realize that if they have a sofa, they don't have to take it to the convenience center. They can put it out and Waste Pro will pick it up when they pick up the garbage and get rid of it.
5 days a week
Yes.
at the convenience centers.
Mr. Banks, does that satisfy your question?
Part of it.
All right. Mr.
Can I
Goddard?
elaborate on something else for you?
No, it'll be okay.
Commissioner Goddard, you had your
Yeah, I
hand
did.
up.
I think a lot of that is, as you were getting to, is educating everybody of what is available, because you've been educating me, and I did want to bring up, any household item, couches, beds, it doesn't make a bed, if it's household, set it at the side of the road, it'll be picked
It'll
up.
be picked up.
Appliances, I think, though, that if you call, they'll pick them up, is that?
They'll pick up
correct?
appliances also.
So even, you wouldn't even have to call on that. You could set an old washing machine out there, and that washing machine would be picked up.
They'll pick it up and they make a note of about where it is in the truck, and they let our people know, because appliances cannot be disposed of in the landfill. They actually track that so that when they come in, they'll stop one of our equipment operators, say, I've got a washing machine in here. When they dump it, we push it, grab it with a front end loader, take it to the scrap metal pile.
But in my area, you put it out by the road and it's gone in
It's
30
gone before
minutes.
the garbage goes.
But
There are a lot of scrappers that do
Yeah,
work
they-
the county on a continuous
Well,
basis.
and that's kind of a good thing. I've seen it in Jacksonville, where they're, as soon as it gets to the road, they're out there scrapping
That's it.
Yep,
right away.
and
They're
gone.
throwing in their truck. But I think that's the biggest thing, educating the public as to what you will pick up, which is just about anything other than building debris.
Yep.
Which would be, what about a fence, a wooden fence?
A fence is considered construction demolition debris.
That's what I thought.
If you're talking about like a privacy fence type of
Correct.
stuff, or even chain link fence. Those are things that are not considered a wear item. Furniture's a wear item. Carpet is not considered construction demolition debris.
Okay.
Carpet is a wear item in your house. It's not like a tile floor that you have to, you put a tile floor in, it'll be there pretty much as long as you own the house. But you put carpet in, it'll wear out in, 6, 7 years and needs to be replaced again.
Okay, but let's just throw one in there. What about like a ceiling fan? That would be considered
An appliance.
appliance. Good, thanks.
Good deal. All right, let's go, Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, just a comment with Commissioner Banks and then Mayor Larson being from the south end. The convenience center is very convenient. to have it there. And I am concerned if we do take that thing away, what will happen with the trash. I don't think they'll haul it to Palaca. I think they'll dump it in the woods. So definitely look hard on trying to keep those and maybe making them where they break even somehow. And a couple of questions on the debt that you alluded to. How long is the term for that debt, and then the time frame that you think FEMA will take to reimburse the county, and at what percentage we might be reimbursed?
Our current debt, I think we've got just a little over a year for it to be paid off. FEMA's reimbursement, I can tell you from 2004 with the Charlie Francis Jean that I went through, 3 years after, I was still having meetings with FEMA people to try to get the numbers right for the reimbursement. We chose this year what's called an accelerated debris removal program that FEMA offers. And this is the first time I've ever been involved in it. And one of their promises in this accelerated program is that it will be handled faster and the reimbursements come out quicker than they normally have in the past. But I have seen it be 4 or 5 years before reimbursements come from FEMA.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Hill,
I got nothing.
Commissioner Lible,
I'm good.
Commissioner Goddard?
I'm good.
All right, and the chairman's good. I do need to open this up, our county administrator has said, it is a public hearing. So thank you, Mr. Gass, for your presentation. I would like for anyone who would like to speak in favor of this increase to please come up, the solid waste assessment, and speak in favor. Okay, anybody who would like to speak against this, please come up. And seeing no, okay, Mr. Spells, if you'll come up and give your name and address for the record, please, sir.
You're loud today, yes, sir.
John Spells, 106 Citrus Lane. Okay, on this here garbage pickup ordeal. Now, as you noticed in the past, I had this issue with Moody Road on some debris that was along the road that they took and pushed from the road back onto the property. And the thing of it is, they talk about raising fees. Now, I haven't never put garbage along the road. I just burn my little bit of trash in a drum. Now I'm paying a garbage fee. But the thing about it, you look at a lot of the trucks that actually come out of town going to the landfill and bring garbage in for the revenue, but you still got other people that ain't even bringing garbage out there. They actually paying for something that they're not getting service out of, but as the landfill get full of trash from trucking in from other places, you know, I just find it not fair. Now, just like I had told Mr. Gash about John's place out there in Barden, there's some old computers, old wood, water hoses and stuff sitting out along the side of the road, and he told me he wanted to go and look at it to see can they pick it up. But I've been out in Barden, I seen the inmates in the truck with a trailer picking up tires and debris and stuff like that. You know, why would you have to drive a truck all the way out there to look at debris to determine whether it's worth picking up rather than sending someone out there and clean it up? Because just riding around the county, even on the north side, you see a whole bunch of trash in piles along the road, and you know, the grass growing up around it. It don't make sense. You know, everybody holler about keeping Putnam clean, but don't just keep it clean where the traffic only see it. Go in all the areas and pick it up. And just because, you know, somebody got tires out there, they need to be picked up. I got 3 vehicles, but yet I buy tires for all of them, but I'm only allowed to carry so many of them out there at a time. Other than that, I got to pay for it. And it don't make sense. It's the only way to keep the place clean is to allow the people that's willing to bring the debris, put it out there without paying money double. That keeps people from dumping it in the woods. So, you know, to just keep raising the fees and bringing other garbage in, filling the land fees up, and then turn around and charge an extra money, I just find it not to be fair.
Thank you, Mr. Spells.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against it?
Good morning. Roxana Regan Weeks, Palaca, Florida. I have some questions about the benzene issue. Why are we paying increased fees when the health issue of the Putnam citizens is not being dealt with? We've brought this up before about the hazards and the cancer-causing agents that are found in the groundwater and the soil, and I haven't seen any corrective action. You can remove the dirt and replace the soil. You can take issues with the leachate, but I really, he's just admitted that the benzene levels are high. Because you open the cell, it's going to flush out. Where does it flush to? Before you make us pay more for these services, I think we need something on the receiving end that addresses the issue to the citizens personally. A lot of people don't think about this. They think about, if I put something out to the curb and they don't pick it up in so many days. That's the kind of narrow thinking that I see a lot of. It's the big picture here that's hurting the citizens. And I'd like somebody to answer the question as to how you're going to address the benzene issue and any other toxins that are out there. I haven't seen the latest reports. I've gotten years of other ones, and it's documented, and yet we don't know what's been done. We haven't heard of anything that's been done. We're still talking about the leachate and what we're going to do with this and that. And Mayor Hill can tell you that, the wastewater treatment plant that it's sent to at the city they have issues there. And so we'd like something. Something for the citizens that address our health issues here. Because we have one of the highest cancer rates in the state. And cancer is the leading cause of death in this county. So can anybody answer that question for me? Or maybe Mr. Gast? I don't know. What's going to be done?
I'd be happy to take it.
Thank you.
Prescription Mr. Gaps spoke about came from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection.
Mm-hmm.
And we are working their recommendations. The mining was what they recommended we do to expose the benzene to the oxygen so it evaporates. We had one hot spot on the eastern edge of the landfill, and now they've come out and through their inspections obviously have found 2 more hot spots.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working those at their request. They're out there every week to bring this up. The landfill was not always lined. In
Right.
recent
So you're
history,
talking about
they lined it, and in the past history, they chose not to line it. So we are cleaning up past mistakes of our landfill and doing a good job of it.
Right. The cell you're talking about that was mined was, I believe, created in the late 70s.
The landfill was created in the early 70s.
Right. But this cell, okay. So at that time, there was no required lining.
There was not.
Yeah. So we've had this issue laying around in these toxins for decades and leaching out because there was no lining. So now we've recently relined that cell and we're finding more hot spots. So
No, these hot spots existed where there was no liner before.
correct. Yes.
Right.
Okay.
It's getting lined now.
So-
We mined 15 acres, and anything in the future, that as far as a cell is being built, will go into this new 15 acres, and it will have a liner,
Right.
not allowing the water table and the garbage to mix, leachate.
Correct.
We collect leachate.
And that's how you have to pump it out from the bottom of the cell. Yeah, that's all required now. The thing I'm talking about, though, is if this cell or the landfill and these hot spots and this benzene has been around since the 70s, why?
I don't know if it's been around since the 70s. You'd have to get a report from DEP. I have no idea when it occurred. Probably
okay.
around 85 or 6.
Oh, okay. But still, for decades.
That's when the Florida DEP was created. And
Yes.
they started measuring. Before that, there was nobody watching it.
Okay, so I don't know of any private property owner or business property owner that if they were found to have toxins on their land would not or would be allowed to let it just lay for decades. How come we're not required
I
to?
don't know where you're going with this. We're applying to what's required from us. from the new DEP that didn't exist before 85.
Yes.
I can't tell you what happened then or what's legal and what's not legal. You asked me a question, I answered it.
Yes, the toxins are from the prior time of lining. So they're decades old. They're still hot spots today.
There we are.
Ms. Weeks, also, previous boards years and years and years ago, decades, could have just said, you know, we're not going to put any more trash on that area, and DEP would have cleaned it up as a brownfield area. That didn't happen. They continued to use it. Dr. Townsend, if you remember during the solid waste committee meetings that we had, suggested slurry walls, pumping that fluid up, getting oxygized, and it would go away. But that was a lot more expensive. So that was a solution, but it was a lot more expensive. So the flush is something they expected, but they also realized that in the next few years, that's going to go away. And they realized that. They understood that that was going to happen. And that was an approved plan by, Commissioner Lieble's right, by DEP. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
then I don't understand. If this has been around for decades and is still present, and now that you're just going to flush it away, how long do you expect it to take to dissipate and be
well,
gone?
it's not about flushing it away. It's about what's left in those tubes, those streams, if you will, going out.
Yes,
But a
the
lot of that's
ponds.
gone now, and the numbers will start producing that. I would suggest, Mr. Gast, if you can get us a numbers pretty soon, and we'll schedule it for a meeting, and we'd be glad to go over that at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
because, you know,
I
I
think
mean,
that's good.
how many times, what percentage is it exceeding the allowable levels after
It's-
all these
it's
decades, you
decreasing.
know?
Yeah, it's
Just
decreasing.
said in his report, we are seeing decreases in benzene levels. So the prescription is working.
Right.
Right,
And we'll do that at a
because you open the
workshop.
cell and it's,
Yeah, we'll do that at a
going
workshop.
somewhere.
Okay?
okay, thank you.
Ms. Weeks. Is there anybody else that would like to speak against this? Okay, please come up. And we're going to take a few more, or maybe this is the last one. We're going to move this meeting forward.
Faye Sparkman, 103 Flamingo Boulevard, Interlochen, Florida. If you raise the fees, are you going to be able to haul out all of the leachate water out of this county? I will say this. We have sent out 32 discs on the leachate water being dumped behind McDonald's. One of them was given to Mayor Hill. We never heard an answer back. We've had meetings with the EPA, the DEA. I have given all the literature to our representative, Ted Yoho. Leachate is a hazardous waste because people put their diapers in there, they put their cat litter in there, this all drains down. It's still being dumped behind McDonald's. It takes the truck exactly 20 minutes to dump it. We have the video. We have permission to be on that property. We have a letter from the state, from the chief financial officer. They gave us 1 year to go to the Board of Health and St. Johns River Water Management. We took those letters to them for help. We got none. There's one more alternative that we have to stop this leachate, and it's not being done. I don't want to have to go that route, but we are prepared to. The other problem is you had a task force advisory board on the landfill. They directed everybody to please look at modern technology. This county has not done so. I'm hoping that the federal government will put a stop on all landfills. That way you guys will have to start looking. But the leachate being dumped into this city with the pipes being as old as they are, you can't tell me that that's where the cancer cell's not coming from. And if you go on the Board of Health and you look, it tells you this is cancer cell in this state is the biggest in the state of Florida. And the reason your tonnage has come down out there, so many people have left this county. They don't want to stay here. And the people that live in this city, I feel sorry for them.
Keep this focused on the landfill, please.
And you can answer it all you want, but the leachate has got to stop being dumped in the city. And Mayor Hill and his staff with the city are going to have to help.
If I could.
Thank you, Ms. Barton. We're going to let Mayor Hill speak to that if he wants to, but at this moment, we're going to move on.
I mean,
Mr. Lible?
My comment will be brief.
Will you bring the microphone to you?
My comment will be brief. I mean, unless you missed the joint task force meeting that we had, the joint commission meeting that we had with the county, you're unaware of the efforts that have been made to actually try to make some improvements into that area. We've been drastically working towards actually coming up with a new wastewater treatment plant, but efforts have been made. So, I mean, if you didn't get the memo, then I can't really apologize for that. But we just had a joint task force meeting, which was a public meeting, where we started talking about future solutions. The thing you gotta realize is solutions cost money. And when you're in a community where the resources are limited, you do what you can with what you have. And so we've made significant efforts by way of making things better, but we can only make it better with what we have. And until there is some additional resources in place, you do what you can with what you have. And if you've got another solution, or at least some data that tells me that cancer is coming from those sources other than speculative information, then we'll look at it and we'll try to see what we can do to get some additional help.
Thank you, Mayor.
But don't give me a premonition or a hunch. Give me some facts.
Exactly.
Didn't you go to
Commissioner
Washington,
Lible?
D.C.?
Ms.
Didn't you
Ms.
go
Bartman,
to
hang on a
Washington,
second.
D.C. to
Ms.
help get a
Bartman,
grant?
hang on a second. Mr. Lible?
I just wanted to bring out the point that the Florida Department of Environmental Protection prescribed our leachate management. We are doing exactly what they said for us to do with it, and you know that. You've met with them, you tried to prove this rumor, and it just didn't prove out, and we know that. And until there's something new on the technology-wise, we're gonna do what the Florida Department of Environmental Protection tells us what to do, because it keeps us safe.
Thank you.
Since you're
All
gonna
right.
raise our fees, isn't there a way that you can have it all pulled out of here?
Bartman, we're going to be done with that right now. Thank you very much. Anybody else want to speak against this? Ms. Davis, this will be our, come on up, come on. This will be our last speaker.
Janet Smith, we like
Janet
of
Smith,
Florida.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Smith Davis, we're all common.
No, I
so-
got an email from a past friend, Janet Davis, the other day, and that made me, for
well.
some reason, went in my mind.
I'm a little confused. Mr. Gast mentioned more waste coming in, which is why we have to deal with this new cell and raise the fees. More waste coming in from where? Isn't that kind of sounding like Trash Mountain that we had some meetings about and people were upset about bringing in streams from out of the county? Could you please explain that?
Ms. Smith, what I heard was less trash coming in and a reduction this year. And we're not prepared to bring in outside waste until we build this new cell, the 15-acre cell. Currently, this cell will last us another 2 to 3 years. And then the new cell that we build could last us, I think, 50 years or 40 years at our current consumption. If we bring in more trash, that would help the rate. And believe me, this district wants that rate to be a revenue neutral. I'd like to see it to zero, frankly, but that's going to cause us to bring in more and more and more. But if we can get it down, then we'll do it. And right now, we're not dipping into reserves like what happened last year, and we don't want to do that. So this is a slight increase that's going to benefit to provide the service that needs to be provided to the citizens.
Okay, well, we don't exactly have reserves, but
Okay.
the other problem that I see is that the noticing of this meeting, we have had a lot of lip service about having evening meetings so that the citizens can come. We haven't exactly seen that. So noticing for this meeting is something that is of great importance to the citizens. This would have been a good meeting to allow those people who are working, who also pay the salaries of folks sitting up there. It would have been great to include them. And unfortunately, the first meeting notice was on July the 4th, when people are out and doing things. It was in the paper, but that's when people are out doing their July the 4th thing. So this meeting really, by rights, should have been in the evening so more people who were going to have to dig deeper in their pockets could have participated. That is really sad. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman, can you invite her to our evening meeting tonight?
I will. 5:05 tonight, we're meeting again, and we will have public meetings when the budget, to do the budget, and those meetings will be 5:05. So stay tuned. You will have final meetings coming up on the budget very, very soon. Tonight's meeting, We have a 5:05 meeting on some land use changes. So we are having we've had a lot of meetings lately, and we have delved into a lot of subjects. So just stay tuned.
Where were the meetings announced for tonight?
It's on your packet. It was announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Advertised in the newspaper,
advertised,
everything
yeah.
accordance to Florida law.
It's there.
Yeah, but there's still the promise of the evening meetings that haven't been done.
All right, good. Thank you. All right, that ends our public comments. Any more deliberation from the committee?
No.
If hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I motion that we adopt the resolution setting the special assessments for fiscal year 2017-18.
Okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
Can we clarify that motion, that it's a special assessment and user fees
Well, it says,
as presented in the resolution?
Solid waste
Establishing solid waste
Assessment
special assessment and user
fees.
fees?
with, also coupled with our recycling and our collection fees.
okay, we have a proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
I'll second it.
We have a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion from this committee? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign?
Nay.
The ayes have, nay? Okay. The ayes have it. Thank you. This will adjourn our meeting of the Solid Waste District. Thank you, committee members, for serving, and we'll see you soon. Okay, we'll give it a few minutes to reorganize.
Did
Okay, we're going to reconvene our Board of County Commission meeting Tuesday, July 25th. Time is 9:59. Public comments. We're at the time of our public comments. This portion of the agenda is designed to allow citizens an opportunity to bring matters to the attention of the board. It is not reasonable to expect that the board will engage in debate or deliberation about matters on which the board has received no prior information as part of the agenda. Please limit to 3 minutes. Public comment cards are conveniently placed in the meeting room. The blue cards entrance and should be submitted prior to the meeting with the deputy clerk who sits at the right of podium. If you haven't filled out a blue card, that doesn't mean you can't talk. We're still, may I have your attention, please? It's the acoustics in this room is very bad, so your sound comes right up here, and it's difficult to hear, and it's difficult for others to hear. So is there any public comments at this time? Please come up and state your name. You don't have to raise your hand, just start working your way up.
John Spells, 106 Citrus Lane. I don't mean to be a nuisance, but I got an issue that I brought to your attention the other day when I gave you a call about that pothole on Cracker Swamp Road. But out of all my times of traveling and going along the roads, I've never seen to the point that they took 5 bags of concrete, laid them flat on the edge of the road, and left a deep pothole on the other side. To me, it would have made more sense to put some type of stabilizer or something in the hole to blemish out with the little bit of asphalt. I have to actually straddle the edge of the road in order to make that turn to get in my driveway with my trailer. Now, my problem is if one of those bags leaned up and hit my brake caliper and ripped something loose underneath my truck, who's going to be responsible for it?
The Public Works was made aware of that when you called me, and that was a temporary fix, and I believe they have a permanent solution coming.
But my thing of it is, why would you attempt to half do a job? To me, I never seen where you actually take bags of concrete, lay them flat, and match them up with asphalt. either put asphalt there completely or put some type of stabilizer. But my biggest thing is, why did they leave the deep hole on the other side? You got these new cars now, like these here Chrysler 300 with the low scoops on them, to run over the edge of that there and it tear up. You know, it's just all it is a liability of someone tearing up the vehicle. But I'd rather for them to have just put dirt in the hole completely than to lay those bags of concrete there. But like I say, I have a problem trying to swing out in order to make it in my driveway with that deep hole on the other side of those bags of concrete. So if you would, have them to remove those bags and put some dirt or something there rather than those chunks of concrete.
Thank you, Mr. Spell.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. You're duly noted. Who would like to speak next? Please come up and give your name and address for the record.
Hello, my name is Elaine Studo, and I'm here to represent the senior citizens that use the pool on Westover. We have a petition here, which I'd like to read to you. We, the undersigned, do not agree with the closing of the pool on Westover Drive in the late end of August. The pool is a very important tool used by the taxpayers of Putnam County, many which are elderly and use the facilities for medical purposes. Now, talk about cost. Any cost incurred by allowing the facility to be open during the month of August, September, possibly October, would be very minimal to the county, since it has already been maintained because the swim team uses it through the month of November. So basically, we talked to the management there, and they seem to kind of have a little bit, casual attitude about it. They said, well, we don't have any lifeguards. Okay, what's the problem? We have talked to people that are willing to take the test, become a lifeguard. So basically, the lifeguards are getting $10 an hour. So to keep the pool open for the senior citizens that are on our list here, costs you $10 an hour per lifeguard. Now, we're talking very, very little money for the amount of the taxpayers paying. We all pay taxes in our county. And the excuse was, we don't have any lifeguards. That was the first excuse. So we've had people willing to take and become a lifeguard, certified lifeguard, to help out keeping the pool. We only want it open a couple hours a day.
The guy swims every day.
And people, we have lap swimmers every day that use it. And so the excuse of not having any help because all the young people have gone to college doesn't cut it. So we overcame that excuse. And then he says, well, we have a problem with budget cuts. Well, we're talking $20 a day, So, yeah, for us. And we do pay membership fees. People pay to take the exercise class. The lap swimmers, they pay. So, we would certainly make up for the $40 or the $20 we might use per day. And we know, we hate to take up your time on this, but we know y'all can help us with this.
Thank you.
Seems pretty simple.
Would you hand your petition to the clerk of the court, and she'll keep it at that point?
Anybody else have anything they want to say?
Well, I had a stroke 3 years
Please
ago.
state your name.
Oh,
and-
I'm Carla Gustafson, and I live here in Palatka.
Okay.
I had a stroke 3 years ago, and I didn't get much of rehabilitation. I've been at the pool every day for 2 hours in the mornings, and you don't believe how much it helped. I was paralyzed on the right side, and look at me now.
Okay.
I need that
Congratulations.
pool.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
need that pool.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is
Oh,
Miss?
and then we have a gentleman, Marvin. He is in a wheelchair. He can not hardly walk. He cannot even get into the steps to the pool anymore. They got a lift chair that they're using. Set Marvin on, put him in the water. In the water, he can walk back and forth for exercises. They put him back in, lift him out. We do need that pool open as long as possible while the weather is nice.
Okay, we hear your concerns, and we will check into it. Miss Angie doesn't appear to be in the audience right now.
I'll get with her.
Our county administrator will check into it and get back to us and get back to you. If you'll leave your name and address with Tony.
We
we'll take-
really appreciate
All right,
that.
good.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming before us today. We appreciate
Well,
that.
thank you for the time you're giving us. I know we're not a big problem. There's
No.
bigger problems in Putnam County, but I'm 71.
No,
I love to, and I have COPD, so I cannot do exercise above.
let me assure
I have
you.
to be underwater.
Let me assure you, the commissioners want to hear the problems that are going on, and we want to hear from our constituents, our
Okay, I do
employers, okay?
appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Anybody else in the audience wishing to speak at public comment?
Kathy Warren, Melrose. I would just like to ask Mr. Gass if we could have more recycle information come out, maybe every other year, maybe every year, just to tell us what we can recycle and what we can't. It's just a little piece of paper that they send out, but, you know, an update every once in a while would be really nice.
We do that, and we can post that out. We'll bring some to the library. I'll personally take some out. It might be a good idea to say these are the hot items that we're accepting, and these are things that we're having a hard time with. I don't know, but the market changes quite frequently on that. So, me personally, I like paper bags. So, you know, I just do. So, all right.
It's always a question whether we can put glass or what kind
Right.
of plastic, and so if it's written down, we'll know.
We
Don't
got
put glass.
Yes, ma'am, we got that. Okay, anybody else in the audience? Yes, Ms. Smith, please come up.
Janet Smith, Willaca. It's here on your screen, but on the website, there is a meeting August 11th, interviews with commissioners and committee members, and it's not open to the public.
We're having meetings on the 10th and the 11th. This is where our committee is doing interviews to hire a new county administrator. That time it is closed, but then we are opening it to the public for public meeting after that. So stay tuned on that. It is a private meeting to interview every commissioner alone will be interviewing. We're not going to do it together. We're not going to break the sunshine law. Mr. Manning, do you want to drill down a little bit deeper? Because I don't think
The morning meetings are with the commissioners, individual commissioners, with their appointee to the advisory committee. So those are closed to the public. Those don't have to be open to the public.
Okay.
In the afternoon, it is going to be a full board interview, and that is what will be open to the public.
Okay.
Because when you have more than one board member from this board together is when it has to be open in the sunshine. When it is individual commissioners meeting and doing the interviews, that's not required.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
One other quick thing. It's been talked about having bicycle tourists that come through the county, which is a good thing. But we have some dangerous situations in the road that really need to be dealt with. I understand that we don't probably have the funds to really fix what I'm going to talk about here, but there is a simple, cheap solution that really should be done right away. I have pictures here, and I will show this to you. These are some grates in Willaca, and they are right beside the road. It's very narrow there, and if you're on a bicycle and you have traffic coming, you are on top of these things before you realize it, because the dirt has started to pour down into those areas. And I have a picture here of a bicycle
Unfortunately,
wheel.
Any pictures that you want them to consider, you have got to give to the clerk of court for the record.
Right, so we can't see that unless we have a copy of it for our record.
Okay, can I give you
You can
a
email
link?
it to all of us.
Email you?
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
because
And email,
this-
we'll make sure Tony gets a copy of it.
this big dip in there, when you're forced and you cannot use the road, and you've got that grate, and then right there is loose sand beside it, and the size of that dip in that is just exactly the size of a bicycle wheel. It's very dangerous. Now, they should be fixed, and in the future, we really need to look at this, not to construct things this way. But for right now, if you took some big yellow paint and you painted a square around these things, then that would call attention so that you could completely stop before you get in a situation where you're going to end up flipping into traffic.
Ms. Smith, I saw Mr. Tompkins shaking his head and then writing down, so thank you for bringing that to our attention today.
Thank
And if you'll email those to us, we'll get it to Tony also, okay? Thank you. Anybody else want to speak from the public? Okay, seeing none, we're going to close our public section of our meeting. And commissioners, we're going to go into consent agenda. Is there any items on the consent agenda, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, and M, that you want to pull? Commissioner Pickens, I'll start with you.
I'd like to pull F and G.
F and G. Commissioner Lible?
Let's talk about J a little bit.
Okay.
I know Mr. Jim's here today. and-
Commissioner Goddard?
No, I have none.
I do. I have I and M. And then we'll just hold off if it's okay, and we'll go through these, and then we'll approve all the consent agenda at one time. Starting with Commissioner Pickens, item F and G, please.
Yeah, I know that Quinn May is not here, but I see Ryan Simpson. I just would like for the audience and for our viewers that may watch this meeting later on, just a little clarification of the description of the two different grants we receive, and then I believe it's for emergency preparedness and training, and just elaborate on how the money will be used and benefit the county.
Thank you. Ryan Simpson, Putnam County Emergency Management Interim EM Coordinator. F and G, item F and G is essentially our base grant agreements that we receive annually from the state of Florida, one of which is state funds. The other is federal funds that are passed through the state. These funds are used to maintain our emergency management program, everything from training to exercises to preparedness activities to public outreach. Every aspect of our program is funded by these two grants. Be happy to answer any other questions that you may have about them.
Commissioner Pickens?
Any specifics, I guess, is as far as the prepared training, I guess?
Yeah, so our emergency management program is consistent with the National Incident Management System, in which does identify federal training classes in which we have and we provide. Those classes are ICS classes, or Incident Command System training classes. We offer those at our EOC. We open it up to all of our partners. All of our partner agencies are able to attend. And those classes are successful and well attended.
This are paid employee plus volunteers also, I would assume.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All of the classes that we offer through our emergency management program are open to all volunteer fire departments and all voluntary partner agencies that we work with in the Emergency Operations Center.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate your time. Okay, let's go to, I'll take the next one. We'll do it in order. Item I. This is exciting to me, and I know probably you in the audience and probably thinking, why would this be exciting? But Mr. Manning, I'm going to put you on the spot for a minute. It's page number 190.
No problem. Yeah, this is actually exciting to me, too.
Okay.
This is a little something that I had come across in the statutes a couple of years ago, and I've actually been kind of excited to try to put it to use. And this is really our first opportunity to do that. What the statute allows is when a property, if property taxes aren't paid, as Linda explained a couple of meetings ago, Linda Myers, there's a process where there's tax certificates issued, and then from that point, there can be a tax deed. Over the process, over the years, if there is no tax deed issue, what happens to a property is it escheats to the county. The county becomes the owner of that property, which, is something we don't want. I mean, as a county, we don't want to own property. We don't want to own folks' property. We want those property to be productive and, on the tax rolls, and we want people to be in their homes if there's a home on it. Well, this particular property, it did escheat to the county. And what this statute allows us to do is to go to that property owner, and they have an opportunity now to purchase the property back for the back taxes and fees that are owed, and allows them to continue or get that property back. It can only be the prior owner, and they do have to pay everything up. And that's the situation we have here. The property did escheat to us. We reached out to the property owner to let her know that this is an opportunity. Well, she originally called and said, well, you know, when do I have to be out? Because there's a house. And that's when we said, well, you know, there's an opportunity here. If you're able to catch up on these taxes, we can actually transfer the property back to you. So she was very excited to hear that. She's working on getting that money together now, and so we'll see. But this approving this authorizes us to actually do that if she's able to come up with those back taxes and fees. So I'm excited. I think we'll be able to get there on this one. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
And I would like many more to come in the future, as you know, so that this is a good thing. So that's all I wanted. Commissioners, any comments about item I? Okay.
No, just supporting Mr. Manning and his effort here. This is a great service of government. Very rare this would happen, but if it can truly be returned to the rightful owner and we collect our taxes, that's all we ever wanted in the first place.
Right. Okay.
Good job.
Commissioner Lible, item J, page 198 in your packet.
Jim's with us again today, and all this is a breakdown. Let me see. Just to thank you, the East Palaca Regional Way System that we've worked very hard on and we're have a lot of debt on, and to conquer that debt, we need customers. And your agency greatly helped that 2 weeks ago with the grant we received, and you encouraged us to come back this year, and we will, because equally we need water to do that. But we've made great strides in just a month, you know, all it takes is a little money and a good partner, as in the St. Johns River Management Group that you represent. And again, I just wanted to pull it to thank you, because it really means expansion, and it means the ability for the stakeholders, which are the citizens, the taxpayers of this county, to be able to grow, because we have infrastructure now. We have water and sewer. Business can move in. Subdivisions can move in. We were really limited, and in fact, we were dead in our tracks before this effort. And thank you, Jim, very much. And Dr. Shortell, thank her very much.
I think it was quite impressive when we hurried our board meeting that day, and Mike was in the audience texting us and calling us here. And I believe Commissioner Lible made it there and spoke before we got there, and then I was able to speak. And all the commissioners and our staff marched in to show that Putnam County really needed this product. And we greatly appreciate it.
The Paradise Point failing sewer system, right. I actually went down during Hurricane Matthew and drove my truck up to about high as the hood and couldn't get any further, and the smell was terrible. But I took pictures because I knew, you know, it would pay off, and it did. And I was so glad I didn't delete those pictures, because it didn't get any traction when I first did it, but I held on to them, and by gosh, I got a chance to show them later.
And
that
you
was
did.
nice.
Jim Troiano again, Mr. Chair, for the St. Johns River Water Management District. And your leadership from this board, by coming to that meeting, by being present and speaking to our governing board, made a great impact. And so this is that partnership that we're looking forward to. Certainly can't promise you money each and every time, but our staff will look at those projects that are pushed forward, and we want to look at the best way that we can look at our core missions and make the best for the citizens of this county and our state. So we do appreciate the work. This is great work that we looked at. Our staff was very complimentary of your staff and how they put this together, and the pictures that you presented, it's powerful. And to see what was going back into that creek, and if we can prevent that from happening again, and through the connections of our septic tanks later.
Well, that station was completely underwater. You know.
And I've had an opportunity to drive out there and look at it prior to this meeting, and to see that what's going to be done out there is going to be amazing. So again, our hats off to you all, and it's a great project, and we look forward to future work together.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, item M, that would be me. This is Stella, if you'll come up, please, and bring your people with you. These folks have worked very, very hard. They brought this to the board about the library expansion. They've applied. They have an architect on that they've hired, the Melrose community did, to make up the design. Steve Crowley, our past library director, was there who helped walk through this grant. And Ms. Brown, if you'd like to explain this, and I have a question for you after you get done. Thank you.
Okay. My name is Stella Brown. I'm with the Putnam County Library System Interim Director. On behalf of Melrose Public Library, we're here to request a letter of approval to submit with the $500,000 grant application to the state. And just to give you a little synopsis of the Melrose Public Library, I was around before the Melrose Library was there. So I go way, way back. And Melrose Library was the start of the Putnam County Library System. It was the first branch. It was actually built by the community, which in Melrose, the community consists of 4 different counties. They all came together, they built the building, and they donated it to the county so that it could be ran properly. Now we're here once again to ask for a letter of approval to submit with a grant to the state for another expansion that would give them the allotted space that's needed for the programs that they present at the Melrose branch. With that being said, Kathy Warren has been around in Melrose as long as I was out there, and Pat and Keena, oh, she sat there, and Pat and Keena are now with the Library Association as well. They have a little more information about this expansion project, but what I can tell you about the Melrose Library is Dory Rotundo was the original designer of the original Melrose Library. She was also the designer of the second phase expansion of the Melrose Library, which later was donated to Robert Taylor, the architect with the county. Now we have Dory Rotundo back again. So Dory has been around, and Kathy has been around for years as far as the Melrose Library Association is concerned, and we've all worked together to try to make each community of Putnam County Library System the best that it can be for all the residents of Putnam County. And to the commissioners and Mr. Manning, I applaud each and every one of you for all that you all do for Putnam County residents as well as the employees. And with that being said, I'm going to let Kathy Warren speak as soon as I answer your question, and then Mr. Ward will be speaking shortly after that.
Today, we're on a time crunch, and today, if the board approves, you're not asking for any money, you're just asking for our letter of support
Yes.
to get this done, and this will come from the Florida State Library.
Yes.
Okay. As all the requirements are, is everything ready to go? So when we can sign today and get this moving forward?
We have everything ready to go as far as the commissioners is concerned, and
Good
it's
deal.
ready to go. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right,
All right.
good job.
Yes.
Thank you all, Melrose. I think it's rather, well, it's not a surprise that I think Melrose Elementary is a elementary school in our county.
Yes,
And
it
I
has
think
been.
there's a correlation there is my point. And there's some brain power out west there. Keep it going.
And I will say with that, the Melrose Library Association, they don't just sit back and wait for handouts. I don't think any of our branches or associations do. They work for what they ask for. They don't just come with their hands out doing nothing on their end. They really put in the work before they come to the board and request anything. So I just
Right.
wanted to make that known.
Thank you. Ms. Warren, you'd like to speak?
Yes, but what Stella said is true. Both the original building and the wing, we did a matching grant with the state library system, and Melrose raised the $75,000 the first time, $55,000 the second time. So we do go out and pester people. I wanted to thank you and Stacy Poppel and Steve and Stella for coming out and meeting with us last month and helping us to get our grant application together. It's been a little bit difficult with Steve, the director, leaving, and a lot of things he had in his head, we have had trouble finding written down. So we are grateful for your help in driving out to Melrose to talk with us. As you said, we did contract with a professional grant writer and with Dory Rotunda, and she has given us the preliminary architecture design. We will have to have another architect who, well, Dory's retired, so we have to have another architect, but she gave us what we wanted so that we could hand that over to the new architect, and made it a bit simpler. It also gave us a way to send to with the grant a design. And we do plan to continue our fundraising for, as well as the renovation and addition. We do projects and programs which require some money in our fundraising. I think last week you should have all received a note from us with points of what we needed today and also the design. So that should be familiar to you. We also have, and I guess I need to give this over here, the Putnam County Library Board just yesterday approved us to apply for the grant. So I think our question is, we are a ready county, and that needs to be specified in writing when we send the grant in. So I think, Commissioner Harvey, you're going to sign that or write an approval letter. If you could just mention in that we are a ready county. I think it has to, I think it has to come from someone with authority. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Warren. Ms. Pat, would you like to speak?
Just very quickly, Mr. Chair. So Patrick Ward, I'm Vice President of the Melrose Library Association. County Commissioners, thank you for our opportunity to be able to come here and solicit your support and approval to move forward with this particular expansion of the Melrose Library. Just to reiterate, with regards to what Kathy Warren said, the one issue that was left out of the point paper that was given to you reflects, I believe it's item C, where there's a requirement for matching funds, but it requests an individual from a governing body, yourself, sir, to basically state that we're requesting a waiver from that, citing the fact that we are a rural economic development initiative designated county. So with that, I think it's a win-win situation for both the county as well as for the Melrose residents, and we're soliciting your support and approval to move forward. Thank you.
Ms. Stella, do you have a copy of the letter that you'd like for us to sign?
I don't have it with me, but I will
Okay,
get it to you.
all right, if you'll get it. We have a timeline, and we need to probably get that done today, actually.
We will.
Okay, good deal. Okay, Commissioners, any questions for item M? All right, hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on the consent agenda, items A through M.
I'll move that we accept the, all, yes, that's all of them.
So you move acceptance and approval?
Acceptance and approval of all
Items A through
consent
M.
items.
Okay. We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard for acceptance and approval of items A through M.
I'll second them.
Has a proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you. We're going to take a 3-minute recess.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Tommy.
Okay.
Such a good job with it.
We're going to call our meeting back to order for Tuesday, July 25th, 10:36. Tony, oh, there you are. I'm sorry. Make sure Tony's sitting there. The first item on item 7, codes enforcement, item A has been pulled. So if you'll remove that from your discussion today, and we'll go right into, I think, Mr. Manning, you're working on something with that? Is
Yes.
that- Okay. And you'll bring that back to us if need be at a later date. Item B, pages 311 to 336. Mr. Sammons, you have the floor, sir.
This property has 2 cases on it, which the old building official did that. I'm not sure why, but we don't do that anymore. One's case 2008-0700, and the other one's 2011-0489. It's a care premises issue and unsafe structure. That photograph there shows the property after we abated it. This is the house that used to be on it. Sadly, it got in fairly bad condition. And we ended up having to abate it. It's took 5 years, 8 months to achieve compliance through board action. Reverend Dugan was in Ireland for most of that time. There was people here in St. Augustine that, if you looked at the case summary, that we had interactions with. I'm not sure that those interactions ever got to Reverend Dugan. And he owned the property the whole time. The abatement costs, because it was a sizable structure, were $7,500. The daily fines that accumulated were $20,925. I did not accumulate the daily fines for both cases because it just, they were running concurrently. It didn't make any sense. Staff is recommending that the board accept $9,557, which is the abatement cost, plus our cost, our other cost involved in this case. It's paid within 6 months of Board of County Commissioner action.
Okay, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Salmon?
No, he explained it good. I've got it now.
Okay. All right. Is the applicant here that would like to speak? All right. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Move approval of staff recommendations.
A proper motion by Commissioner Lible,
And I'll second.
proper second by Commissioner Goddard. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Okay. Item number C, fine reduction 2010-0933.
This property is at 122 Vine. Francisco Jimenez, who is here today, is the new owner. The pictures that you have are on the old property appraiser system. I never got a chance to get out and take any new pictures, so I don't have pictures of it. It was an unsafe house. Length of time to achieve compliance of 1 year, 7 months. We also abated this property. There were 3 liens. Mr. Jimenez purchased this property in 2017 through tax deed sale. He paid all the back taxes plus $2,335 in an overbid, which the county got. Staff's recommendation that the $10,350 daily fine and $6,800 abatement fee be reduced to the cost of the abatement fee plus $1,145 in department costs minus the $2,235 overbid, for a total of $5,610 if it's paid within 6 months. And Mr. Jimenez, I think.
Okay, commissioners,
time for you to
any
come
more questions for Mr. Salmon?
No.
Okay, is the applicant here and wishes to speak?
He's here.
Okay, if you'll please come up and to the microphone, state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Morning.
If you'll pull that microphone, there you go.
Francisco Jimenez, 122 Vine Road. And I'm here to please request an additional reduction on the abatement fee, as I intend to build on the property, and this would provide additional revenues for the county through the taxes with the house that I intend to build there.
You're wanting an additional,
Reduction from what is proposed by Mr. Salmon.
what do you propose, sir?
I am actually at your mercy, sir. I'm happy that we are actually working this out, but I'm looking at building a house in the location. So I think like in the next 2 to 3 years, through the taxes that I would be paying from the property taxes, the amount that is left behind, which seems to be around $5,800, should be covered in my taxes.
When do you plan on building your home, sir?
I would start building this year. I wanted to go, I didn't know about these fines that I had. I went to pull permits to start putting a light pole to start the construction, and that's when I was informed that I had these things to deal with. So my intention is to start building this year.
But you do realize that these are hard costs that were
Absolutely,
associated with
sir.
the
This
county.
is why I'm at your mercy
I have a
to see
question
if
there, though, I couldn't-
you would consider an additional reduction.
Commissioner Lible, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is for Mr. Salmons. In your notes, you said, of course, Mr. Jimenez purchased the property in 17. He paid back taxes, But he had a $2,335 overbid. Can
Correct.
you explain what that overbid is exactly? I've never heard it explained in this.
Yeah, it's,
term.
when they do a tax deed sale, Tim's office gets the back taxes, and people bid on it, and it's a closed bid as far as I know, or they do it online now or whatever, but anyways, he paid $2,335 more than the back taxes.
Okay, so you were in a fair bidding process with another bidder, and you got run up to $2,335. Okay, thank you, very good. But you stayed and you won that bid, I
That's
got
right.
you. Very well explained. I just wanted to make sure that's what that meant.
Yep.
But you were after this. I'm with you, Mr. Chairman. These are hard costs. Let's turn to Mr. Sammons and see if there's any wiggle room in these hard costs that you think that would contribute to Mr. Jimenez's request.
In the past, we had a policy where if there were overbill, I mean, we didn't obviously do abatements on most of those properties, that if we got an overbid, that we would call it clean. We've moved from that policy over time because of the hard cost. And so, yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that is a hard cost is time that staff takes to write letters and stuff like that. It's all stuff that's basically salary stuff. But it's still, we use that to determine cost.
Right.
Because it is cost to the county, because you're paying staff to do that, so, and driving out to the site to inspect it and stuff like that. Now, they may do 5 inspections in that same general area, so it's not like they have to drive out there purposely to look at that one particular house. They're usually looking at other stuff in the area. But that's basically how we come up with these costs, so.
And do you have a amount on the back taxes?
I don't.
Mr. Jimenez, approximately how much were the back taxes? Do you remember?
Let me see if I have that information.
I don't know if
As
you
I
other
recall,
com-
the original was 4,500, around that amount. And that's why I went to the auction at, and I got, as you said, ran up to some more.
Well, this is a nice piece of property. I'm real familiar with it, but that house was built, I believe, Mr. Sammons, illegally, almost completely, from what I understand. That's the old, had the lions out front, and it was
Yep.
basically stucco and plywood, and
I
it was
saw
the
pictures.
hurricanes of '03, '04 blew it down, basically. And it was an eyesore, so I thank you for buying it. I really do, and cleaning it up. It needed.
I want to build there, sir, so,
Yeah.
and I'm wanting to start soon, and I am willing to pay the fine in its entirety by the end of this month. So I'm just looking for some additional help. I thank all of the work that Mr. Salmon has done as well. So if anything that you can do for me, I would really appreciate it.
Okay, I have a question real quick.
Yes,
You
sir.
said you're willing to pay this fine by the end of this month in its entirety,
Yes,
not
sir.
wait 6 months.
Correct.
Okay. I just wanted that to be, now, Mr. Goddard, you had a question?
I did for Mr. Sammons. What's the normal cost of a building permit for a single-family residence?
It's based upon value. That's not in my ballpark. So I
Based
can't
on
give you-
a, let's say a $75,000 home.
We have to rely on some of my building staff to
Oh,
tell you,
I'm-
but it's based on the valuation of the structure as presented to us.
Would it be in the $600 range?
Again, I wouldn't hazard a
It would
guess.
likely be more than that. If he put a mobile home on there, it'd probably be right around $600.
Okay.
He's wanting to put a home.
It depends on whether he's doing a mobile home or whether he's doing a conventional structure, the valuation of the structure.
Mr. Jimenez, are you putting a mobile home there or a home?
I'm looking to put a home right there.
A home,
Yes.
build a home, a site-built home.
Yes, for myself and my son.
And you're planning on doing that this year?
I'm going to start this year, yes. I don't know if I can finish it this year, but I'm definitely planning to start this year.
Okay.
What I would, Commissioners, just to catch up the back taxes of over $12,000 is very helpful. I was going to suggest that we alleviate the overbid of $2,235 and Mr. Jimenez pay the rest and get them off to a good start. We appreciate you investing in this county.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I believe, though, that number was taken off.
It was.
Yes,
It was.
The
So-
2,200 was
Oh, yeah, and it
deducted.
equaled up to, I'm
Right.
sorry.
The 56 is actually the dead cost, if I'm not incorrect.
Yes, whenever we
right,
calculate,
I'll-
whenever we calculate the costs and whenever there's an abatement lien, excuse me, whenever there is an overage in a tax deed sale, we do subtract out the overage.
I see, yeah. And-
But he's willing to pay it in by the end of this month if their fine can be somewhat reduced.
I'm willing to accept $800 less if this is paid, within the 30 days. And you're gonna move ahead with a building permit. I'm fine with that.
Your motion then, Commissioner Goddard, is
My
to,
motion is to accept $800 less than the 5610, if it's gonna be paid within 30 days. And he's going to attempt to start getting his permits together to build a home by the end of this year.
now, let me restate the motion, and the proper number would be 5610 less 800 would be 4810 if paid within 30 days.
Correct.
One comment, I would defer to the county attorney as to whether you can place a condition
Okay.
like that.
Right
on-
now, hang on just a minute. We got a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Then we'll go to discussion. We have a motion by Commissioner Goddard. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second, a proper second by Commissioner Lible. Mr. Manning, discussion?
Did the motion, I guess I need clarification to answer your question. If I understand your question correctly, can it be a condition that he pull a permit?
That's the question. I think that's what the indication was, that he needed to pull a permit within,
A year.
Within
Yeah,
a year.
by the end of.
Well, that creates some difficulty because you've got the payment within
30 days.
30 days and then requirement to pull the permit by the end of the year. I mean, I think we could do that. Legally, I wouldn't see a problem with that, but if it doesn't happen, if he pays the money and the permit's not pulled,
I'll
then
withdraw my second,
then what
Mr. Goddard.
happens?
Well, hang on a
Well, you're
minute.
first.
Let's, don't withdraw just yet. Let's have.
Well,
the-
let me
the-
just say.
The whole idea
got
here,
us
though,
serious.
is for us to clean the property up. That's the whole idea.
Yes.
And today, Mr. Jimenez is willing to clean it up, pay the fine within 30 days. I think that's where we got a proper motion and a second, and unless, the rest of the stuff, the building, we appreciate that going forward. But let's keep our eyes on the prize, and that's cleaning up the property.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I withdraw my second.
Okay.
And I'll remove mine, withdraw it,
Okay.
and move forward with a new motion that we accept $4,810 within 30 days.
And I second it.
That's the original. Okay, that's fine. We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard, proper second by Commissioner Lible. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, like sign.
Jimenez.
Thank you.
And I thank you all for your
Thank you
help.
very
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. It's great to see what you're going to do there, and we appreciate it great. Okay, item D, fine reduction, page 355 in your agenda, case number 2011-0206. Mr. Sammons, you have the floor, sir.
This is at 343 Lakeway Drive in Interlochen. Dana Simpson Edwards is the owner. It's a care of premise issue, actually living in tents and RVs along with care of premises. There was a emaciated horse on the property also. Staff is recommending that the $22,300 daily fine be reduced to $615 if it's paid within 3 months of board action.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Sammons? Is Ms. Edwards in the audience, please?
She's not here.
Okay, anybody would like to speak on this? All right, hearing none, Commissioner deliberations.
Move approval, staff recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Lible. We have a proper motion by Mr. Lible,
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Pose like sign. Okay, thank you very much, and we appreciate you. Okay. Next on our agenda is appointments. Is there any appointments that need to be made?
I just have a comment. I look at the different appointments that are open, and I don't see any District 1. And if I'm supposed to be looking for something out of my district, I need to know, but, so.
It will show up when that time comes and those people have fulfilled their requirement.
Mr. Chairman, let me be the first to congratulate Commissioner Pickens on fulfilling all his appointments and not showing up. Good job.
That's the proper way of saying
I
that.
just want to know, if I'm supposed to be looking for somebody for another district, let me know.
Thank you, Mr. Lible, for that. You're doing a fabulous job on your appointment. Okay, hearing no other appointments. County Administrator Stacy Manning.
I really don't have much to add, although I would want to let everybody know that Commissioner Harvey and I will be traveling to Washington, D.C. Tomorrow. We'll be there tomorrow afternoon, Thursday, and again traveling on Friday. It's a really great opportunity to represent Putnam County and Washington, D.C. to meet some of the movers and the shakers in the White House, and have an opportunity to meet with USDA and thank them for the help they've given us over the years, and hopefully get their continued support in the future. So really looking forward to that. I think it's an exciting opportunity, and the invite that we received, I think, is very welcomed.
Commissioners, you'll find that we did change our travel plans this morning. USDA is having a meeting on Thursday morning before we would get there, and we want to be a part of that because USDA is very much a part of helping this county. And it's great for us to go up and represent the county, and I'm sure you'll be in good hands while we're gone. County Attorney, Mr. Manning again? Dual roles?
Let's see, do we have any issues? No, I think that's it.
Good. You always like it when your attorney has no issues. So, Mr. Clerk of the Court, Tim Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have 3 items today. First, I want to announce to all of you that we are opening a customer service center next Monday. It is in the building currently where recording is. What we currently have now is we have 3 different counter operations inside of the courthouse. So if you need circuit or county civil work help, you would go to that counter. If you need family division issues to talk to a clerk, you would go to the family division, go to their counter. And the same in the criminal department, where traffic citations and other criminal activity, criminal cases are worked. We are now combining all of that into one service center that it will be outside of the courthouse, so that folks will not now have to go through security to access what we provide to those customers. We are going to take a portion of that small parking lot on the corner of 6th and St. John's and make it short-term parking, so that folks can park, get out, go into a building, get what they need, and get out quickly without having the hassle of going through the courthouse. All of the activities that will remain in the courthouse are court-related functions, so if you are required to attend a hearing of some type, or you need to appear before a judge, you will still do that in the courthouse or the annex courtroom. So we think that's a great customer service improvement. This is driven by, in part, the fact that over the last 6 years, our court budget continues to be reduced. We're funded from the state on that. This current fiscal year, we've had a 5% reduction. It's projected that next year there'll be an additional 3% reduction. That's on top of 25% over the last 5 years that we've already seen. So as in the case when you work on your budget, what we do with our budgeted money is we pay people to do work. So we've had to reduce our workforce from a total of 74. We're now down at around 62. And so we've had to find ways to try to be able to continue to meet our constitutionally enumerated requirements, and that is to serve the public, and this is a way that we think that we can do that in a more effective and efficient way. So, trying to get that word out, we'll be running some notices in the local papers. I'm going to go down and talk to Marcia at the radio about that, try to get the message out. In addition, we'll have signs posted around the courthouse grounds directing people to the new service center. So we're excited about that. Also, as part of
I'm
that, yes,
sure
sir.
Brandon's here, and I'm sure that'll make the paper too, right, Brandon?
Well, we hope that Brandon,
Okay, good.
we hope that Brandon can help us with
That's
that.
right.
Thank you. Also, the courts are in the last phase of installing what they call judicial viewers. This is the court's electronic case management system, wherein that we will no longer have any paper files or any paper being transferred between the clerk and the courts. Those now come to us electronically. If self-represented litigants bring paperwork to us, we image those and put those right into the case file, and then the courts can access those cases. The value of that is that judges now will have access to their case files 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so that they can do their preparation. It will also speed up issues like domestic violence injunctions. There could be child protective orders that come in over the weekend. We're basically a 7-day-a-week operation now because we've gone electronic. We have filings that are accepted into the cases in our county 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year. And you wouldn't think people would be filing at 3 o'clock in the morning, but they are. And so this is the court's attempt to become more efficient and effective in their service to justice. And so in conjunction with that, all that, it really is a better product for those folks that come and have needs with either the court or the clerk. The vast majority of folks that we deal with are not criminals, and so we want to make sure that we're treating our customers, who are our citizens, in the most efficient and effective way to provide those services. And then lastly, I had a phone call from Nora Blunt. Many of you know Ms. Blunt. She will call and talk to you about things, and I appreciated that the issue with the Melrose Library was on your consent agenda today. She had some concerns about the Bostwick Library, about hours of operation and access to the library. And I told her that I would pass on her concerns to the commission. Had to do with hours of operation and access to computers, because some folks still need access to computers that all of us provide in public settings. So with that, those are the items I had today, and thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate the update, as always. Commissioner comments, starting to my right, Mr. Leibel, the very dapper gentleman today in there.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Just to ask our constituency to have patience this summer. The mowing is on schedule. We just happen to have a very, very wet summer going on, and we're looking at some additional equipment at Public Works to possibly shorten time intervals of servicing different areas. And anyhow, we're working through it. We are on schedule, and we're just going to have to be patient. It's a very productive summer as far as grass growing goes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leibel. Mr. Goddard?
Well, I'm going to add on to that because we are very fortunate to have that much
Yes.
rain. We were in such a very dangerous, dry time. It's nice to see it, even though it can be troublesome. Wanted to thank everyone for being here, but I wanted to call out Mr. Hammonds and just thank you, sir. Looking over all this paperwork this past week, I realized just how much, I know that you do a lot of work, and I appreciate what you're doing here. But I've also been hearing from a lot of people very good, positive input on what's going on in your office and the inspections and the people that they've been dealing with. And it's good to hear. It's very good to hear, and I just wanted to tell you and your staff, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Pickens?
Yeah, I just want to comment. I think it's just a positive with the Public Works working with water management and the commissioners that were involved to secure the grant that we just approved today. And I just think it's going to be a positive for Putnam County, South Putnam, in that area to get that antiquated sewer system offline and be able to provide sewage down there for expansion of maybe businesses and things like that, and also to alleviate some of the septic tanks and get those offline. So, and just want to make a note. This is kind of personal for me as a proud father. Most of y'all know Holly and I have been married 29 years, and we have two wonderful sons, Ian and Bobby. Ian and his wife Shanae are both attorneys, and they work for the State's Attorney's Office in Ocala. So they have already passed the Florida bar. Our youngest son, Bobby, when we opened our meeting at 9 o'clock, he was sitting in Tampa with 5,000 other individuals to start the 2-day process of the Florida bar. And I just want to tell Bobby and the whole Putnam County, the people that are here, how proud we are, and we're praying for him. So thank you. Good luck.
Yes, very much so. Did you see our attorney over there squish when you said that? Just the idea of sitting there taking a Florida bar is intimidating. You know, and I want to thank everyone. I know that we've had a rough couple months and meetings, and it seems to be dying down a little bit, but we've had a lot of hard work and a lot of situations we needed to deal with, and this commission has really stepped up to the plate and I believe knocked it out of the park. So if nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting, and we'll see you at 2 o'clock for the transportation.
Recess.
We're gonna, yes, I know that. We got a meeting at 2 o'clock, our transportation meeting, and this meeting will be recessed until 5:05. Thank you. All right, we're going to reconvene our meeting for today, July 25th, Tuesday at 5:05, the public hearing. Mr. Hammond, you have the floor.
Good evening, Commissioners. This, of course, is a repeat of basically what we did 2 weeks ago, and I'll keep this as brief as possible, particularly in light of our crowd here. The first is an ordinance. It's Code Amendment 17001, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending the Putnam County Land Development Code by amending sections 2.0410G, 2.053B, 2.0516, 3.02.11.B.2, 9.0307, and 11.06.03. To remove all references to the business tax receipts and providing for severability and providing for an effective date. You will recall, of course, you repealed the business tax receipt. This is just the follow-up to that.
Yeah, good, thank you. We're going to read it by title only, and is there anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor? Anybody in opposition? Commissioner deliberations?
Move approval, staff recommendations.
A proper motion by Commissioner Lible.
I'll second.
Proper second by Commissioner Goddard. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Next item.
The second is Code Amendment 17-002, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending Article 2 of the Putnam County Land Development Code by amending Section 2.04.06 of the Land Development Code relating to placing accessory structures prior to placing a principal structure in agricultural zoning districts, amending Section 2.04.07 of the Land Development Code relating to the number and size of allowable accessory structures on small residential lots, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. Anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor? Anybody in the public wishing to speak in opposition? Commissioners?
I move approval of staff recommendations of CA 17002.
Proper motion by Commissioner Pickens, proper second by Commissioner Lible. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Next, Mr. Hammonds.
I will say at this point, inadvertently, actually, the advertisement that the paper ran was the original advertisement we had, which actually included Code Amendment 17-003, which is not on your agenda tonight. It will be something that you'll see in a few weeks, frankly.
Okay.
The third item is Code Amendment 17-004, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending Article 9 of the Putnam County Land Development Code by amending determination of damage to nonconforming uses and structures, amending procedure for consideration of expansion or improvement of nonconforming uses, requirements for nonconforming site improvements, adding section 9.03.08, addressing nonconformities created by public taking of right-of-way, revising criteria for administrative variance, correction of Scrivener's errors, and providing for severability and an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. Is there anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor of this? Anybody in opposition? Seeing none, Commissioner deliberations.
I move for approval as recommended.
We have a proper motion by Commissioner Goddard.
Second?
Proper second by Commissioner Lible. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign.
The next item is Code Amendment 17-005, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending Article 12 of the Putnam County Land Development Code by amending the activities which constitute development, amending the requirements for an improvement agreement where necessary in a plat, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. Is anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor? Anybody in opposition? Hearing none, Commissioner deliberations.
Move approval of staff recommendations.
Proper motion by Commissioner Lowell.
I'll second.
Proper second by Commissioner Goddard. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. Thank you, Mr. Hammonds.
And the last one is Code Amendment 17-006, an ordinance of the County of Putnam, State of Florida, amending Article 6 of the Putnam County Land Development Code by amending, or by adding a new section 6.05.15.2 of the Land Development Code regarding elevation requirements for site-built 1- and 2-family dwellings and modular homes installed off-frame, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mr. Hammonds. Anybody in the public wishing to speak in favor of this? Anybody opposed to this? Seeing none, Commissioner deliberations.
Move for approval.
Proper motion by Commissioner Goddard for approval.
I'll second it.
Proper second by Commissioner Pickens. All in favor, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Mr. Manning, I have a quick question. Since item number 003 was advertised, should we table it? Or it was advertised to be on this meeting?
No, because it's not actually on the actual agenda. So.
Okay, so we don't have to do anything with it?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to, if I could just,
Please.
I know this is being recorded and possibly broadcast to the public, and I want to explain, it seems like we're rushing through this, but we have workshopped them, and I believe this is our third time
Yes,
hearing it.
this is actually your third time and the fourth time it's been through a public
Yeah.
hearing.
So it's a little redundant to us, but it's kind of a housekeeping measure that we're doing. And I just wanted to explain that to the public, but we absolutely took our time
I agree.
coming up with these new county ordinances or changes to them.
And understanding that you have two 505 hearings in September, again, I did want to just ask that it's okay with the board if we slip on a code amendment on each one of those for 505s because of just the timing. You're already here for a 505, so I don't expect either one of these to be I expect them both to go about like these.
Consolidation of time is wonderful.
That will save you any other 505s
We'll do it.
real soon thereafter.
Good deal. All right, thank you.
505s in September.
I'm sorry?
Right.
Yeah. All right, is there any further business, Mr. Manning? Commissioners? Seeing none, this meeting will stand adjourned.
Thank you.